All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian McLogan, and welcome to 2021 Open Live Q&A. I am ready for another 52 more live streams and to help you out with your math. And that is the point of these live streams, is to kind of go through the questions that you guys have and submit them and answer them to the best of my ability. Just a reminder, if this is your first time joining in on one of my streams, you can always go ahead and submit your questions with your links down below. Those links will be changing, as well as getting a nice little 2020 refresh. But we'll get into that for now. But most of the questions that I do answer throughout the year, guys, are always going to be pre-submitted. But since most students are just kind of slowly getting into their 2021 kind of rhythm and back to school, the questions were a little light this week, but that is perfectly fine. I am just excited to get back into the school, get back into the rhythm of everything. And I hope everybody if you had a nice little break, that it was a nice little enjoyable break. So I forgot to pop out my chat. There we go. And hey, let's go and get into the thread. All right. So, hi, Asian. Good. So, I got a video on your test. Well, very good to see you, Asian. Good to see you, Addie and Lil Tokyo and Abigail. Thank you so much. The form is closed. Maybe that's why my form didn't thing. That's kind of weird. You said the form was, did you, Abigail, please confirm with me if you go to the Google form in my description, it should not be closed. I didn't turn it off. So, but maybe if you just want to confirm with me that is the case. Again, as I mentioned, I will be addressing that. Or if you do have any questions for this live stream, if you want to go ahead and post them in the chat to the best of your ability, I'll kind of see what I will do to the best of my ability. And Ava. Well, hello, Ava. I'm good to have a subscriber for a very long time. Yes, it's kind of crazy. I was looking at I've been making videos since 2010. There's some people I remember responding back to their comments way back in the day. And it's just crazy to have been on YouTube for that long. And also even some people maybe even been watching me, for that long. So good to see you, Katie, and Sky and Alex. Yeah, when I go to it only allows me to see the previous responses. That is so weird. I'm actually just going to go and pull it up because I only have one question to go through on from there. So I will see what is up with that, Abigail. I've never had any problems with that before, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the issue may be. I'll go ahead and type it. Here's the link right here. They're not there. Curious. Well, good to have. I'm happy that helped out, Abigail. And Addie says, I just went to several of your videos so I could get those links for questions. They are not there. Curious. I am not sure. I don't know. Addie, maybe you can just kind of let me know on that. Well, Sky, thank you very much for subscribing. I'm happy to be able to help you. And mine is at Funes. Yeah, Valerie, there was a couple different questions. I'm not sure which was your question referred to, but I just kind of went through. The only question that I decided to kind of go through was just going back over the AC method. A couple questions I didn't really understand what the question was or what exactly I needed to do for on there. So if you want to go ahead and resubmit it, I do have that form open. I'll be more than happy to maybe go ahead and take a look. Few times I'd really like to come back more often. Well, you're very welcome, Ava. And yes, a couple different things I did want to kind of let you guys know of is where all those links usually are. I wasn't there to access. I mean, are you talking about the link right now? I'm not really sure what description you were talking about for any of my videos. I mean, maybe my last two recent videos. Those were those 5-hour videos. Those might not have the updated description. So if you were looking at those two videos, that could be the case. But any of my older videos within the last week, those should have updated links and everything like that. But yeah, those 5-hour videos, those are just kind of, I don't know, wanted to try something different for that. But yeah, I wanted to let you guys know of a couple of updates that I will be having for this upcoming school year. And the couple things that I'm going to be doing with the live stream. So the live streams are going to be staying the same. I decided to renew my contract with myself to do another 52 more live streams. So therefore, at this time next year, we will be on live stream 105. And I am pretty excited to go ahead and get to that number again. I think breaking, and that's consecutive. So I did not miss a week last week. Even when I was out of town, even if I couldn't answer questions, I went ahead and went live at 9 p.m., maybe a couple minutes late sometimes here or there, but at 9 p.m. Every single Sunday. So I look forward to that. I know eventually that streak is going to have to come to an end, but that's okay. We're going to keep on doing this while we're having fun. And for me, at least, it's a good time for me to have fun, interact with you guys, answer your questions, and help you guys out. So we will, if you guys have questions throughout the year, as well as into next year, I will be here for you every Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am going to kind of just change up the methodology for how you guys submit questions, just to make it a little bit more streamlined for you, and also a little bit easier for me to display the questions for my live streams. And then also I am doing something, a lot of people, a couple things that I have kind of realized is a lot of people want a little bit extra, like, individualized, kind of time. And a lot of times, like when these live streams, they get a little bit crazy, like when we're, while we're getting to like exam season, we're just getting like tons of comments, tons of questions. There's no way I could answer all the questions. And then obviously even like the comments was just kind of getting out of hand too. So what I wanted to, so what I did is I decided, well, one thing with my membership on YouTube memberships, one thing I wanted to do was kind of create the extra live stream. So far with the memberships, I did like a bonus live stream every month. But it was kind of difficult to go ahead and like do it because I was doing it at different times than my live streams. So what I decided to do is I am now going to be holding a special bonus live stream at 10 o'clock p.m. So that's right after this live stream for my YouTube members. So again, obviously guys, that is a paid membership. And that is just something where I do an extra 30 minutes of giving up my time to answer questions where at least there's not as much people interacting and stuff like that. So if that is something of interest to you, you can go and check it out. But obviously I want to do my best to answer all of your guys' questions that are here for my live stream. So like Sahara and Safat and Wilbur, thank you so much. Ooh, Slope and Intercept. I got some more questions. And Icebreaker and Addie. Hello, Mr. Burgoyne. Do you have videos on polynomials and trinomials? Yes. Icebreaker, just go and look at my channel. I got to do a better job of if you go to my channel, if you go to the playlist on my channel, you'll see everything's broken down into like Algebra 1, Algebra 2, pre-calculus, and all that kind of stuff. I have a ton of videos on that. And then, and thank you so much, Addie, for going and setting that up. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Omar, Grover, polynomials. Yes, I have a ton of stuff on polynomials. Slope and y-intercept. Well, if you guys do have any more questions that you do want to ask, I only have this one question that I'm going to go to. So I will talk a little bit more about take control of your learning and everything like that. And then I have one little question. So if you guys have any other additional questions, feel free to add them into the chat. All right. So a couple other things. Let's talk about a couple of things real quick. In addition to the bonus live stream that I'll be doing starting at 10 o'clock actually tonight, I have actually my first little private stream. So I'll be doing that at 10 o'clock. So then again, that's only open for YouTube members. And then also I am opening up, I'm really against this, but I decided this is something I wanted to do. One thing I wanted to kind of open up some private tutoring sessions. So I wanted to make it affordable and I wanted to make it convenient for myself, because one of the problems that I never wanted to get into private tutoring, because I do enjoy private tutoring, but I never wanted to do private tutoring just because even like if I was doing like an hour, it's time intensive. I don't have time. I really don't to go through it. I mean, teaching, YouTube, and my family and kids and everything. So it's really difficult to give up an hour of my time just to, focus on an hour of private tutoring. However, one of the things I did want to kind of build out with my channel, and also I think it's a great opportunity for me to also just kind of working with some different maths, kind of like for a lot of you guys that are doing this, that, are submitting questions, is just to provide that opportunity for people and just to give it a shot. Maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll do this for a month. Maybe I'll do it for the rest of the year. Maybe, I have no idea. So I'm just going to give it a shot. I'll give you guys more details as that comes up, but there will be some opportunities where we can go ahead and do some online tutoring sessions that if you guys would like to book a time with me, they'll be shorter sessions. And yeah, so we'll just kind of go from there. I think it'll be something that will be a little bit fun. Well, hopefully fun. I mean, we'll see. It's math still, by the way, right? All right. Here to explain. Oh, and the other thing I want to talk about was that YouTube memberships. One thing, Addie, she updated her members to the Pay It Forward. And that's one thing I wanted to do with that Pay It Forward is I wanted to also give away some free tutoring. So that was something I did at the beginning of the year, and I just couldn't maintain it just because I had my online pre-calculus class. I was going back into the classroom. I was still, YouTube, and I'm like, I just cannot do everything. So unfortunately, the first thing that had to go was like these free tutoring sessions. And I just didn't, it was also taking a lot of time because I didn't have the systems down on like how to do tutoring online. So that's why I wanted to get the paid system going. So therefore, when I do free tutoring sessions, it's a very streamlined approach. And it's not something that's going to be taking up too much of my time to get it set up. Like I want something that's going to be very streamlined, paid or for unpaid. But one of the things that the YouTube members that Pay It Forward, they're going to do is help supporting that, and basically kind of like a little, what's the word? Like a scholarship, basically keeps on, promoting students, giving them some free tutoring opportunities. So anyways, I'll get some of that for you guys on your way. I'm doing math assignments. Leo, some math assignments, some help with doing some math assignments. I'm not really sure what advice I could give you that would really maybe benefit for you. As far as advice doing math assignments, I would think maybe, if it's a lot, if it seems sometimes like, well, math assignments, it seems like it's it's a lot of stuff, break it down into chunks, do a little bit here and there, take a break, come back to it. Sometimes math can be very taxing. You're doing math and you get very tired, like exhausted. I remember there's many times that I would do problems I'd be doing math work and I would just be like exhausted doing all the problems. So, maybe just kind of take some breaks from there. I think also when you get, stuck on things, that's really good to take those breaks, step away, and then to maybe try to approach it, try to do something else. Try to maybe approach it a different way. Okay. But this all really kind of comes back to everything, guys, that the start of this live stream was really kind of taking control of your learning. And the reason why I wanted to start this year with this is because when we started the school year, I had a very similar live stream, this take control of your learning, and I posted some videos on that. And the reason why I wanted to talk about that at the beginning of the year is because there was a lot of unknowns. We didn't know if we were going to go all back into the classroom. We didn't know if we were going to go back to distance learning, how things was ever going to go. Like, is the world going to shut down all over again? Like, there were so many unknowns of so many people all going back into the classroom. And I wanted to give like a little positive vibe into that, as being like, well, you can't control what you don't know, right? Which is true. And you just got to do your best. You got to take control of your learning and, move forward with that. And I think at this point, obviously things can still change. Things can dramatically change still. Hopefully it doesn't. But I think at this point, we're midway through the year. And we kind of have an idea of how the schooling is going, how your teachers have reacted, how the grades and school systems and everything else has like reacted and prepared. And we have like at least a little bit of a rhythm of how learning and everything is going. And if you haven't really, taken control of your learning and realize that, hey, I have everything that I need to be able to have to take control of learning. I wanted to start off your year with this, with this kind of support and the motivation to be like, finish off the second half. No matter what happened with the first half, there's so many things are changing and, there's so many unknowns. But I think at this stage in the game, it's like, all right, we know how things are going. And hopefully that's going to remain semi-consistent through the end of this year. And you have what you need in place. And I'm not saying anything's fair. I'm not saying everything is easy, because obviously we all have our own different circumstances. But I would just encourage you to really kind of, take a look at what it is that you have in front of you, what you have, your opportunities, as well as your resources, and take full advantage of everything you have. Take control of that learning. Don't wait for your teacher to be doing any uploading assignments or anything like that. Don't wait for your friends to help you out or to teach you anything. Like, this is your year. And, the other reason why I want to talk about this is, I did a poll on my channel, and, the number one response was, this is the worst year ever. It's like a depressing thing. Like, I've been teaching for so many years, and so many students have such a bad, taste for this year, which rightfully so, right? I mean, for 2020, as a whole, right? And the first part of the school year, like, if you were expecting anything else from prior years, what prior generations or anything else have experienced, like, yeah, it's, there's a lot more obstacles that we have had to overcome this year compared to previous years. But I think the only thing that we can do is make the full best of it, is take control of what we can take control of and move forward. And so that's why I would like to just kind of start off your year for 2021 and get going. Because I think at the end of this year, we're going to look back and we're going to see all that we have accomplished. And it was really amazing, even through 2020. One of my goals I want to do live streams every month, every week. And I did it, right? Even throughout this crazy of a year, like, I did live streams every week. And I think when you set those kind of goals and you decide on what it is you want to accomplish and you put in the work and you take control of that, I was out of town, I was on vacation. And again, obviously, guys, going live is a lot different than actually, other things that you guys are doing. I get that. But I think the point that I wanted to take with this was that, take control of what you need to learn, of what you need to get out of this year, and go with it, because you will look back on this and it will be crazy, everything that you overcame to achieve what you wanted to achieve and achieve what you needed to achieve. So that is a little bit, hopefully, of some encouragement as we enter in this year. I know it's not a great year, guys. I know it's been a tough year. There is going to be some change still going on. That's just the way things are. But hopefully, for your sake, for my sake, for everybody's sake, that we can keep on moving forward and developing a better kind of framework for us to kind of learn as well as to grow. All right, Brian, what are your goals for 2021? Well, Nav, you got to go and check out my live stream 2 weeks ago where I talked about my goals for 2021. I actually wrote them down, so I actually don't remember exactly. I do remember I wanted to do another more live streams. I wanted to launch my course again. I wanted to hit my 1 million subscribers, and I wanted to focus more on my growing a little bit more on my channel, like putting a little bit more time and effort. Not low time and effort, but utilizing some extra resources. Like, obviously, part of what my YouTube members help me out with as far as getting part about getting my number, like editors and continue working on my thumbnails and kind of stuff like that. So just overall improving a lot of my channels from there. All right. And URL, do you guys do remote learning? We're actually in person. We are face-to-face at the moment. So it'll be kind of interesting for that. Yeah, it's Jordan. I do have a student. I don't have a student named Deja this year. I have had a student named Deja. Hi, Aiden. Yes. I'm not really sure if I met you in person, Aiden, but just for you, as far as there's, URLU in college. But yes, hey, Aiden, I do remember you being in the chat, from on there. And Luke, well, thank you very much. And hi, Leo. What was he saying? Oh, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't really know what to believe on the Wednesday. I know a lot of people have, these last 2 weeks, we've kind of gotten out of our systems and routines, and there's been a lot of mingling and kind of stuff like that. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how school goes back. School's back into session, but we'll kind of see. So yeah, I don't know. It's very tough. I don't think there's anything that's really easy about this whole situation, to be honest with you. So no, not in person, from the chat multiple times before. Yes, of course, Aiden. I do remember. I mean, obviously there's always been a lot of Aidens and everything else, but yes, I do remember. Well, hello, 177A CMS. How are you? Can you determine the x and the y intercepts? Sure. Is it from a graph or from a linear equation? I'm assuming from a linear equation, Renzo, but let me know if that is not it. So, well, thank you, Daddy. I appreciate that. You're awesome. Can I go over logs? Sure. Let me know what you want to go over logs because I spend like a long time going over logs. So I will cover some questions for you guys. So if you guys do have any questions, let me know, but you got to be specific. Like going over logs, I don't really know. Do you want graphing, solving, converting, evaluating? Like what do you want to talk about with logarithms? All right. What's gonna do? I'm just gonna do x and y intercepts. I don't know, unless you let me know what you want to cover. And I'll just work with that. Our graphics. Oh, graphing? Okay. So then I'll graph. All right, so I will graph the x and y intercepts, and then I will sketch the graph. I had a question about the formula b divided by 2a. I want to understand how we know that opposite of b divided by 4 will work to find the axis of symmetry. Oh, well, thank you so much, Jen. I very much appreciate that. Thank you for all your help. You are very, very welcome. I appreciate that super chat. That is very, very nice of you, and I'm happy to be there for you and to help out. Thank you so much. The funny thing is most YouTubers are doing the exact topics as we were doing at school. That's crazy. Is that most YouTubers are doing the exact topics? Yeah, well, I think, Ada, that would be, kind of hopefully the idea, right? I'm not sure what you mean by they're doing the exact topics, because obviously most of them, if they're going through their school, should be definitely semi around there. Anything about logs? I don't know how much of it, and I have an assignment tomorrow. Okay. I can maybe do a brief little introduction of logarithms, I guess, if you'd like to do that. Maybe let's go ahead and I'll maybe do something like that. So we'll talk about this. I'm not really sure the opposite of b divided by 2a. I'm trying to think, where does that, it's been a while. I know that can be derived. I'm trying to think how we derive that formula, the opposite of b divided by 2a. I don't remember. I apologize. I could probably go and look it up and think about it, and I would get it to you. But it's just not coming to the top of my head. About the formula b divided by, yeah, I want to understand how we know that opposite of b divided by 2a. Dang it. I just don't remember. It's going to be, if you take an equation, because that would be the quadratic formula is for that. It's going to be all related to the quadratic formula, completing the square, that somewhere in between there. I remember looking at it. I just don't recall. Renzo, do you have a Facebook page? I do have a Facebook page. I don't really, I do have, obviously I keep up my YouTube, or not my YouTube, but my profile, but that's about it for there. I don't really use Facebook as much, but I do have a Facebook business, or I do have my YouTube page for on Facebook. Karen, you're the only reason I'm passing pre-calc. Well, you're very welcome, Karen. I'm happy to be able to help you out. Anything about logs? Okay, well, I'll give you the introduction. That's sad. What's sad, Andrew? Okay, another Andrew. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right, whatever. All right, guys. Well, if you do have any other questions, I'll go ahead and work through these three questions for here. We'll call it, I guess, a light entry into 2021, and then we'll look forward to, as we are going into the year. Obviously, I'm sure the questions will go up, but obviously, guys, you can always go ahead and also submit your questions anytime during the week on my Discord server, which I forgot to mention at the beginning of the year. I cannot remember that. So make sure you guys, also, if you have questions, you can obviously use any of my descriptions, but you can also go ahead and go to the Discord server, which is where you guys can post questions, help each other out with questions. It is a great resource for those of you that need help throughout the year and do not want to wait until Sunday when I will be coming up. All right, and it says, I mean, that since we started doing quadratic stuff at our school, I've been seeing most YouTubers post. Oh, well, yeah, I'd probably say mostly coincidence. It's probably YouTube just knowing what you're looking for, and then it's finding people that are giving you relevant information. Is trig functions a hard unit? No, I don't think trig functions is a hard unit. We're going to be starting analytic trigonometry in my class, and I consider that the most difficult chapter in the pre-calculus, in my pre-calculus curriculum. So it'll be interesting to give that to my students right when they return back to school. But we'll ease into it, and I do kind of spread it out a little bit. But yeah, that is, I think the introduction to trig, hopefully, it's just a little different. You know, some people connect with trig a little bit easier than others. But besides that, I don't feel the content is really that much more difficult than what you've already done. Kirsten, you're very, very welcome. Because I like to send pick to the math room. Yeah, Renzo, if you can go ahead and use my Google form in the description, or you can also go to Discord and you can submit pictures on Discord as well. Our youth is so. Do you know what additional mathematics is? No, I do not know. Isn't pre-calc all algebra 3 and prig? Kind of pretty much, Andrew Scott. It's pretty much, yeah, algebra. I mean, it's a lot of algebra 2 topics, again, which we call algebra 3, just a little bit more advanced. Some trig, and then obviously, yeah, some little introduction into calculus as well. Team Green, I am in Florida. And hi, does BC include any Calc 2 material? Yes, that is what BC is. Typically, at least in our school, the BC curriculum is mostly your Calc 2. Carolina, do you have any for Algebra 1 better? No, I'm not really sure if I'd have any like tips just for Algebra 1. Better. I mean, I think if with anything else is typically when you're first doing the Algebra 1, a lot of times it's you'll understand something, but then so many things are a lot of times new, so you'll get you'll see things get changed up and they'll confuse people. So I would just recommend, like with a lot of things, is just I think practicing. I think a lot of practice from Algebra 1 to really get that foundation, because the more confidence that you build from the Algebra 1, the more problems you see and the more practice you have. I think that's going to build up your confidence, moving forward. So it's not really Algebra 1 specific, but I would just recommend just making sure that you don't get complicit with just saying, oh, I understand this, like I'm good. Like make sure you really go back over the problems, practice it, practice those problems and everything else to get a firm understanding. You're very welcome, Chris D. Chris, I watched your videos when I was fresh in high school. You're still doing wonders. Yep, that's me. I don't know how long it was since you're fresh in high school, but yes, I'm still around. Can you talk about the quadratic formula and what is it used for? Sure, we can talk about the quadratic formula. And actually, you know what? Let me. I don't want to do that, but yeah, let's just do this. There you go. I'll just do that one. Awesome. Good for you, Andrew. All right, guys. We got one more maybe question, and then I will get right into the math. And then just a reminder, guys, for any of you that are YouTube members, if you'd like to join, I will be doing another live stream, or I will be doing a members only at 10 o'clock. That'll be adding in. So if you do have some more general or questions from there, you guys can add them in there, but I will be taking off any other questions. How do you find the equation of a sigmoid function from a graph? I don't really deal with those questions, Abigail. You're just going to need to, there's two things you need to, when you're trying to identify them, you need to look at, trying to identify if it's obviously a sine or cosine, and obviously those can be manipulated either way. So figure out which one is going to be the easiest with the least amount of transformations, with the least without doing any reflections. I would look into the amplitude, right? How high and low does the graph go? Which is going to be your A, right? The amplitude is the half distance from the max to the min. And then obviously look if the graph has been shifted up or down. That would be your vertical translation, right? Your D at the end. And I think where it really gets difficult is on the inside. Hopefully your graph is relatively basic and easy enough where you can identify how long it takes the graph to repeat itself. And hopefully you can recognize that that is going to be your period. So again, just set your period equal to 2 pi divided by b and solve for b, and that will be your value for b. So it's kind of difficult to just make up a random problem, I would say, for that from there, but that's what I would look into, is identifying b, identifying a, and obviously C, if you have a C in there, that'd be a vertical shift left and right, and then identifying your D. So just finding the parts of your, just finding the A, B, C, and D from the graph. It's so funny. I always ask my students questions, and I always ask for like, hey, do you guys have any, questions, life advice, dating advice? And nobody ever takes me up on that. And then here you are. Hello there, Gutser, asking me one of those, and please bless me with your wisdom. Go for it. Don't hold back. Just kind of like the girl, then I think she likes me, then go for it. Talk to her. That's the best advice I can give you. Okay. Hi, everyone. All right, in your Discord. Yeah, sure. Go ahead and Discord. There'll be definitely people. Train go. Nobody likes those. All right. Yeah, 5 years ago, I can say that. Can you say how to solve cubic quadratic formulas? Well, Nav, I'm not really sure what you mean. What is a cubic quadratic formula? Because if it's cubic, that means it's to the power of 3. If it's quadratic, that means it's to the power of 2. So you would, I believe there is a cubic formula, but I'm not really familiar with it. And I think it's pretty much more advanced and more detailed than you'd want to deal with. That's right. Chad Moon, well, thank you very much. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and get on these. I'm sure there'll probably be some people that will join in later on and be like, hey, answer this question, answer this question, answer this question. I'll be like, all right, one more. So let's go ahead and get in through the AC method. So I do not like the AC method, particularly because teaching pre-calculus and calculus, we don't really come around with problems like this where we have to factor them. Typically, we have a problem like this. We'd have a calculator with us, and we'd use the quadratic formula. We wouldn't even bother doing this. But teaching Algebra 2 this year, one of the things that they want us to do is obviously solve, by factoring. And obviously, you could use the guess and check method, which, I kind of prefer the idea of writing 2 binomials. But it just kind of gets a little difficult, when the higher the numbers up. So, you could try to figure out which one's going to work, 2x and 4x, right? You could have a 4x and 2x. You could do an 8x. Like, it just becomes in a lot of options to be able to identify what's going to work here. And obviously, hopefully, I did choose a problem that was factorable. So hopefully maybe some of you are looking at this, and the more practice you get with these, the easier it does become. But the student wanted to know AC method. So let's talk about this. I would still try to do this problem either way. And I think as long as I did my work correctly, I think I can still, I still see the answer anyways. But anyways, let's go and do the AC method. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys 2 different ways to go about the AC method. So the first thing, the reason why we call it the AC method is because if you were to look at a standard form of a quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c, right? So ax squared plus bx plus c. So we're going to do a times c. And then we're going to have b in the denominator. Okay, so a times c, so we have a times 3, which is 24. And then we're going to b is 14. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to look for what 2 numbers multiply what two numbers multiplied to give us 24, but then are going to add to give us a 14. And 8 times 3 is 24, so add from there. So let's see here. I'm thinking I'm getting a 6 and an 8. Right? Okay, so there's a couple different ways we can do this. One way is we can take these values and we can go ahead and write them as the combination of the two middle terms. So I could say this would be a 8x plus a 6x plus 3. Okay, so again, wouldn't you agree 8x plus 6x is 14x? Yes, but these are special. You just don't want to pick any two numbers to add to give you 14x. We want to pick two numbers that add to give us 14x that also multiply to give us our a times c, which was 24. Now what we can do is we can factor by grouping. So we can group the first two terms and group the second two terms. Then you can factor out your common factor, which would be an 8x, leaving us with a x plus 1. That's not right. 8x. And then over here, you'd factor out a 3. Something's not right. What did I do? Does anybody see it? Because this is factorable. Here's the answer. Plus 3 plus 1. It's a 4x plus 1. 8x squared plus 16x. Now I'm messing up my grouping. Well, let's just go and say, if you factor out this 3, see, that's not going to work. All right, so let's maybe 8x plus 3. Why am I... All right, so let's do it the other way. I'm not sure why the grouping is not working out from there. So the other way, which I thought, I don't know, it's been a while. Like I said, I didn't even teach the AC method. So the other way we can think about this is you can take these values, unless somebody goes and find my answer. I don't know where I made my mistake. I'll have to go take a look at it. But the other technique that we can do is remember that the product of two binomials is going to give us an area, right? And this is why I like to have user questions submitted, so therefore I don't have to make mistakes on the own problem that I made up on my own. But either way, let's go ahead and take here, we have the 8x squared, and then we have the 3, and then we're going to take our 6 and our 8 right here. Okay, so we have a 6x and an 8x. Now, these are going to be the two values we found. Now, again, remember, like, what is factoring? Factoring is rewriting an expression as a product, right? So if you can think about your expression as like the area, and then by factoring, 6 times 8, there we go. It's not 28. Thank you, right? Yeah, that's 48. I have no idea. Thank you very much. So yeah, 6 and 8 is not going to work. Thank you. I don't know. All right, so what about 12 and 2? How does that sound? That sounds much better, Mr. McLogan. I think so too. I don't know. I don't know how bad I can do with that. Jeez, oh man. Okay, so let's redo this. Or we'll just pretend that didn't happen, guys. 12 and 2. 12 times 2 is 24. 12 plus 2 is 14. There you go. All right, so still the same idea. 12x plus 2x plus 3. Cool. All right, so again, now we're going to factor by grouping. Thank you so much for, who was that? No, first grade. Thanks, Reds. I appreciate it. All right, so now I'll go ahead and factor out a 4x. And by factoring out a 4x, I'm going to be left with a 2x plus 3. Plus, I can factor out a 1 here. 2x plus 3. And then now I can factor out a 2x plus 3. And that's going to leave me with a 4x plus 1. Voila. All right, now the other way you can approach this is by using the box method. Well, it's the AC method with the box method. So this is the AC method to grouping. We could also do AC method to the box method because, again, factoring, you're trying to rewrite it as a product. And the product of two terms is going to give you the area, right? If you multiply two numbers, that's going to give you the area of a rectangle. So if I take my area, and if I'm trying to rewrite it as an expression, I could take a 12x, and then I'll put a 2x here. No, 2. Okay, so now you just take your numbers instead of rewriting the factoring, which some students get, or the grouping, some students get confused there. In this case, you can just refill in the boxes, and now basically what you're going to do is you're going to find the side lengths of each of these boxes. So what would be the need to be my side length here? Like, what could I multiply on the side? Well, what is the greatest common factor of a 8x squared and 2x? Well, that's going to be a 2x, right? And then what would I need to multiply 2x by to give me a 8x? Well, that's going to be a 4x. And then 2x times what gives you 2x? Plus 1. 4x times what gives you 12x? Well, that's going to be a 3. And you can see 3 times 1 gives you 3. And those are your two expressions there again. Christy, I will get to some of your guys' questions. I'm going to go through these 4 questions I have. If you guys have an additional question after that, and then I'll answer any other additional questions you guys have. All right, so to find the x and y intercepts, there's a couple things you need to know. And it doesn't matter if I could have done this equation. I could have done a quadratic, a cubic, a square root, a logarithmic. It doesn't matter. If you want to find the x-intercepts, you need to find the x values when y is equal to 0. To find the y-intercept, that is when x is equal to 0, right? Because if you look at your coordinate grid, right, at least if you're doing 2 dimensions, here's x, here's y. So when x is equal to 0, right, that's going to be, when x is equal to 0, when x is equal to 0 right here, that's going to be the y-intercept. And when y is equal to 0, that's going to be the x-intercept. So to find my x-intercept, all I'm simply going to do is plug 0 in for y. So I have a 3x plus 2 times 0 equals 18. 3x equals 18. X equals 6. Yeah. And then my y-intercept is when x is equal to 0. So all I'm simply going to do is do a 3 times 0 plus 2y equals 18. So that obviously goes to 0. And then y is equal to 9. Okay, so to kind of save myself a little space. And then obviously you can just graph it. So a couple different ways. You could rewrite this expression in slope-intercept form, right? So if you want to practice graphing, you could use the intercept method, which is basically saying, hey, if you know your y-intercept is at 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and you know your x-intercept is at 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, well, then just connect the two. And there you have your line. Now, you could also put this in slope-intercept form, right? Remember the y equals mx plus b format. And to do that, you're just going to solve for y. Now, some people prefer this method because they know how to graph slope-intercept for it, right? Find the y-intercept and then use the slope to find the next point. But that's not always as easy. The equation doesn't always work as nicely. Sometimes people do not like fractions. But you can see how, guys, that would work. You can see the y-intercept is exactly the same, which is 9. All right, now let's go and talk about logarithms. So, and this is just going to be a really rough introduction from there. But I just want to kind of get you an idea of why we kind of have the logarithm and like where does it kind of come from. So in this case, if I wanted to solve, if I had the equation 2x equals 8 and I wanted to solve for x, I would just use what we call my inverse operation, right? I would just divide by 2 on both sides. And I get x equals 4. Done. Now, we know the answer was 4 anyways, right? Because 2 times what number equals 4? And we knew the answer was 4. Well, in this example, again, we should know the answer is 3 because it's basically saying 2 raised to what number is equal to 8, right? And we hopefully know that's 3, right? 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. But how do we undo having something being raised to the x power, right? What is the inverse operation? What undoes this operation? Well, that is what our logarithms are. That's what logs are. So what we would do is you take the log of the same base. So the inverse operation would be to take the log of the same base on both sides. And then the rules of logarithms, basically what they tell you is that's just going to equal x equals log base 2 of 8. So what this reads is 2. So when you look at a logarithm, right, a lot of people get confused. They're like, why do I have log? And so what this is saying is, this is saying the exact same thing this is saying. 2 raised to what number equals 8? That number is 3. Okay. Now, obviously, not every problem that you're going to be dealing with logarithms is going to be so easy to solve, right? That's why we have, calculators, because a lot of logarithms if we're going to evaluate them, are going to need to be evaluated with technology. But hopefully that kind of gives you a rough idea. Solving probability methods. Zalon will probably not as far as the applied calculus methods. You can definitely go ahead and submit your questions ahead of time, like on my in my Google form or on Discord, and therefore I'd have time to a little bit look at it a little bit more in detail. But I am a little bit limited on the calculus topics, just because it's not something that I am currently teaching. So it's always, I want to make sure that whenever I'm covering problems, that it's something I feel very comfortable and confident like with my explanation. I don't want to just be like forgetting a whole bunch of stuff and how to explain something and then not really do that service to you. So, but feel free to definitely go ahead and submit it to the Google form or onto the Discord. And if I can't help you out, then hopefully somebody else can. All right. I can't remember what the student wanted with the quadratic formula. I think they just, I guess I'll just do it. But, when we talked about the AC method up here, what we were trying to do is we were trying to rewrite this expression as a product to factor it. Now, not all quadratics, though, are factorable. For instance, here, we have a quadratic that's not factorable. So it doesn't matter if you're going to use guess and check. It doesn't matter if you're going to use AC method. This is a non-factorable quadratic. So what are we going to do? Well, we have our ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay. Now, the quadratic formula could help you. Let's actually do this. Quadratic formula to factor. Okay. Now this is getting a little crazy because nobody asked me to do this, but what I'm going to use the quadratic formula to write the linear factors, to find the factors. Okay. So what we can do is if I want to use the quadratic formula to find the factors, what you're going to do is you're going to find the zeros first. All right. And then once you find the zeros, you're going to write them as factors. Okay, so this is actually going to be something fun. We can do this. All right, so here is my original problem. And we're just going to use the quadratic formula to factor. All right, so first thing we're going to do, step one, is we're going to solve. So I'm going to take x squared plus 4x plus 1 equals 0. All right, so now using my quadratic formula, remember that's going to be x equals opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. All right, so x equals a is 1, b is 4, and c is 1. So that's going to be opposite of 4 plus or minus the square root of b squared. So that's going to be 16 minus 4 times a times c. Okay, so that's going to be 12 divided by 2 times 1. All right, so opposite of b, so that's going to be negative 4 plus or minus, let's see, that's going to be 12 divided by 2. And then we can simplify that a little bit further, break that into the square root of 4 times 3. Square root of 4 is 2, so therefore opposite of 4. I hate when that happens. Plus or minus, that's going to be 2 square root of 3 over 2. And you can simplify this one more time. Negative 4 plus or minus, oops, no. Simplify that a little bit more. There you go. Divide the 2 in there. Okay, so there's my zeros, right? Now let's go into step number 2. So step number 2 is let's do this. No. Step 1, 2. Okay, step number 2 is to basically now go ahead and rewrite these as your 2 factors. So all you simply need to do is get them to the same side as your x. And when you do that, you'd get a factored form of x plus 2 minus the square root of 3 times x plus 2 plus the square root of 3. And there you go. That is now factored. Voila. All right. Oh, well, I think I changed it, right? Sorry about that. I think we're in New Zealand. All right. Fine. I just go to community tab and sure there's Google form. Yeah. All right. Yes. Right now I have my Google Forms on the Google Forms for you guys. What math subject do you find harder, trig or pre-calculus? Well, in my course, our trig is evaluated inside of our pre-calculus curriculum, so there's really nothing different with trig or our pre-calculus class. So I'm not really sure as far as the distinction, as far as how other schools separate those 2 courses, because for us, it's exactly the same. Is there really a schedule when you go live? RNS, I do go live every single Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. Would you consider pre-calc 12 hard? I guess, it's all relative in my opinion. So I'm not really sure if there's anything else from that. Miss Fatima, I would definitely just check out and see if anybody else wants to add it into the chat, what they see as a good biology channel. I am actually not aware of anything from that. Yes, I do. I'm not aware of mathematics over in New Zealand or outside of the United States. So obviously mathematics is very universal, but yeah, the standards and everything that we apply is going to be different. It does vary. Definitely I get a lot of questions that I am not familiar with, like the way that they're asked and they're presented from different countries all over the world, which has been really cool. But yeah, definitely changes. Definitely some things that you're not, definitely some big differences. Well, hi, Diane. I am doing well. And Mr. Anderson, can you explain logs again? I can. I have a lot of videos on logs. I just don't know what you want me to explain about logs because, like I said, this is logarithms. I spend like weeks talking about logarithms. So yeah, I agree. I can't really spend 2 minutes to give logarithms justice. But I do have a lot of tips. So, Chrissy, I saw your thing, like tips for a math tutor. I think you said you wanted to be a math teacher, math tutor, which I was when I was in college, which is awesome. So congrats to you. I think as far as being a tips for a math tutor, what I would definitely recommend is making sure that you have everything up front. So, when it's very difficult to help people out when kind of the same thing like for logs. I have no idea what you want me to say about logarithms that's going to help you. So when I do, that's the reason why I have students submit their questions ahead of time so I can have an idea. And a lot of the questions that get deleted that don't get on my live stream it's not that I can't do the question. It's not that I don't understand their question. It's I don't know how to explain what they need help with. And if they're not showing up to the stream, if they're not, there right next to me, then if they, if they're not like, if I can't ask them those questions, then it's very difficult to be able to help them out. Okay. So what I would recommend doing is, obviously, and this actually works for anybody that's even going to be tutored. If you're going to with a tutor, make sure you're giving them as much content and information that you possibly can as far as where you're struggling, what you're working with. I can't even tell you how many times I've wasted time with students I've been tutoring. I'm like, what do you need help with? What do you, where are you struggling with? I don't know. I have no everything, that's not very helpful at all. So you're really going to have to do a good job as a tutor to probe them and to really understand where it is they're struggling with. Because yeah, you could easily, spend money or, take their money basically and not really help them. You can answer questions, show them math, and doesn't really help them at all, right? So I think to be an effective tutor, you really got to ask the right questions, make sure that you have them coming prepared with their questions where they're having trouble. So therefore you can better understand how you can best efficiently help them, right? Because if it's going to be a long-term success, then they're obviously going to need to be getting a benefit, right? It's just not a monetary, pay me money, help me learn math. It's like where you need to be able to find those holes that they're struggling with and help them out with that. All right. Yeah, I know. There. All right. All right, guys. Well, I am now going to finish stream. But again, for those of you that joined a little bit late, I will be going again live next week. I will have a new form to go ahead and submit your questions in for that. And you guys can post your questions there, or you can obviously go to the Discord stream and go ahead and post your questions there. Just remember though, if you're posting questions in Discord, also look to help people out. But thank you so much, guys. If you're interested in having any more additional questions, I am now going into the member stream that will also be on my channel, but it is for members only. But that is also just an additional benefit that I am offering for those of you guys that are interested. Otherwise, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I look forward to seeing you guys here next week. All right, guys. Cheers. Have a good night. Where'd you go? Thank you so much. All right.